All right, thank you everyone. It's 5 o'clock. Knowing that everyone is very busy, we're going to get going with the session today on the Hornby Island Internet Study Project. I'm Jennifer Steele, I'm the Manager of Corporate Communications at the Comox Valley Regional District, and I'm going to pass it over to James Warren.
Thanks, Jennifer, and thank you to everybody for attending our online information session in support of the proposed Hornby and Denman Island's high-speed internet project. My name is James Warren, Deputy Chief Administrative Officer at the Comox Valley Regional District, and I want to start today by respectfully acknowledging that the land on which we gather to host is the traditional and unceded territory of the Comox First Nation. Today I'm here with a few fellow presenters. I will quickly introduce you to our presenters and ask each of them to wave. We have with us Electoral Area A Director Daniel Arbour, Karen Ross and Peter Spurr, representatives from the Hornby and Denman Islands Internet Committee, Jake Martens, the CVRD General Manager of Corporate Services, Chris Armstrong, the CityWest Vice President of Sales and Marketing, and I think Chris will introduce a few others of his team shortly. And then Jennifer Steele and Ingrid Sly are both with us also. They are our CVRD Communications and Technology support for this session. Now a little Zoom 101 to get started. Today we have residents both calling in to hear the discussion and attending the session virtually. This session is being recorded so that we can post on our website for others to view who were not able to attend. As we have a large group here with us today, everyone except the speakers are muted to ensure disruptions and background noise are minimized. And finally, it should be noted that we are minimizing visual tools within the presentation to ensure that those callers at home experience the same presentation as those online. At the end of the presentations, there will be an opportunity for questions. For those of you joining us online, you can enter a question into the Q&A found at the bottom of your Zoom window at any time. However, we will only be answering them at the end of the presentations. You will be able to see the questions, and if you notice that someone has asked a question you would like answered, you can add your support to that question by clicking the thumbs up under the question. As we are recording this virtual open house, when you ask a question via the Q&A, please tick the box to make yourself anonymous. Otherwise, you will be identified by your Zoom name. If you are calling in to join us today, you will also have an opportunity to ask questions. After we answer the questions asked by those who have joined us online, we will unmute those of you who have called in. To ask your questions, say, "I have a question." Depending on the number of call-in attendees, we will either call on you to speak using the last 4 digits of your phone number, or just have you ask your question right away. For example, you will say, "I have a question," and our team will respond, "Caller 2345, please ask your question." For privacy, please do not identify yourself by your name when you speak, and please remember to be respectful of others throughout the session. If you have any technical questions or need assistance during the presentations, please contact either Jennifer Steele or Ingrid Sly using the chat function located at the bottom of your screen, or call 250-334-6087. We have entered this number into the chat as well if you need to reference it. Again, that's 250-334-6087. At this point, I would like to introduce Electoral Area A Director Daniel Arbour to say a few words. Director Arbour.
Thank you, James, and bonjour tout le monde. Hello, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here with you today. We're well rehearsed. We had another session yesterday, so hopefully it goes as smooth, if not better than yesterday. As your elected rep at the CVRD, I'm so happy to bring forward the fiber optic project to the residents in Hornby and Denman for consideration in the upcoming referendum, and to work with CityWest to that regard. For the CVRD, establishing a telecommunication public service would be a first, and something that has been long advocated by countless communities in rural Canada. I do want to take a moment as we start to thank our staff team at the CVRD, in particular James Warren and Jake Martens. This was not in our strategic plan last year. They've had to make room on the side of their desk to bring this forward when the opportunity arose. The journey on this project started many years ago and relied, as usual on the islands, on massive volunteer effort and support of key organizations. HiSeek was relentless on the file and never gave up. Karen Ross will tell you more about that. And the DERA Internet Committee also did fantastic work detailing the needs and opportunities on the Denman side, and we have Peter Spurr that will speak to you guys. I do want to single, other than those two, other skilled individuals that made a huge difference, John Wiggle and John Grayson, and other members of the Hornby Denman Island Internet Committee. It's really been a team effort. Without all their dedication and expertise, the option of the last mile fiber connection would not be possible. I also want to recognize the active support, proactive support of our MLA Josie Osborne and our MP Gord Johns, who both advocated strongly for this project and for improving internet on our islands for quite a while. They've been on calls with us, and they're worth highlighting. Also want to recognize our sister regional district to the north and their past chair and now MLA Michelle Babchuk, without whom there would be no fiber optic cable to connect us into. In the big picture, one element that I love about this project is how it connects us to the Connected Coast project. This was an initial meeting a couple years ago. Thanks, Jennifer, for showing it, where we first explored the opportunity to connect into that cable. One aspect that I love about this project is it actively supports reconciliation in a real and tangible way by connecting countless First Nation communities along the coast from here to Prince Rupert and Haida Gwaii and all around Vancouver Island, and we have the opportunity to be part of that. I believe it's awesome for islands to participate in something like this. Lastly, of course, I want to thank the province of British Columbia for providing our islands with a $5.6 million grant investment. It'd be very costly to look at something like this otherwise, and especially CityWest, who are also investing their resources and investing in the future of our islands. So without further ado, I'll pass it on to the two members of the Hornby Denman Internet Committee, who will fill you in a little bit more on the history of the project, and I'll pass it over to Karen Russ now. Thank you very much.
Daniel, thank you so much. And I certainly would second all the thank yous that you've given, and particularly mention maybe Dave Leach at Strathcona for the leadership that he exhibited. And thank you to everyone on this call and the panelists today. As Daniel said, I work for HiSeek on Hornby, the Economic Enhancement Corporation. And really our story started in the fall of 2016. At a gathering of Hornby businesses, fixing the chronic and inadequate internet was identified as priority work project for HiSeek. We had some success after that, lobbying our primary internet service provider, and got a service upgrade for the southeast corner of the island and the Sandpiper subdivision. At that point, TELUS informed us that the low density of population resulting in subpar corporate returns precluded further investment. The reality became clear. Without government investment, there would be no major improvements to internet on Hornby Island. In 2018, enter Connected Coast. This project, put together by the Strathcona Regional District and CityWest Telecommunications, was to deploy a subsea high-speed fiber optic cable along the coast of British Columbia from Vancouver to Prince Rupert and Haida Gwaii. This $45 million backbone project proposed delivering a trunk fiber cable to about 160 remote communities involving 13 regional districts and 44 First Nation communities. Although plans showed the cable going up Lambert Channel between Denman and Hornby, our communities were not included in the project initially. Running parallel to the work on Hornby, the Denman Island Residents and Ratepayers, I think it's actually just Residents Association, formed an internet committee to address the inadequate service on their island. This Denman committee reached out to HiSeek, resulting in forming our Inter-Island Task Force. It is my belief that neither island would be where we are today without this collaboration. I can't speak highly enough about the volunteer efforts. Over 1,000 hours of volunteer time, expertise, and tenacity was brought to this joint table in looking for solutions to both islands' internet woes. Our work led us to the Ministry of Citizen Service, the provincial ministry responsible for internet. They advised, in order to access any type of government funding, provincial or federal, our committees would have to prove an appetite to cross the digital divide. This chart shows the type of things that we had to address when we started looking for government funding. The federal government defined underserved communities as those having internet speeds of less than 50 megabits per second download and 10 megabits per second upload. A successful funding application needed to prove overwhelming community support. With grants that our committee solicited from the Island Coastal Economic Trust and Northern Development Initiative Trust, we hired an industry consulting firm to assist in public consultations, to help find a willing internet service provider, and to prepare 2 reports that would be required for applying for government funding. They're called the Digital Roadmap and the Implementation Plan. We did a video with a local videographer. That, the reports and articles outlining the process are archived on our website at hornbydenmaninternet.com. Armed with the reports, the committee commenced finding a suitable internet service provider who would partner with our community in seeking funding. This was a bit of a tough path, as we had developed a business model that had some of the profits coming back to our communities. This was somewhat challenging on top of the non-lucrative projected returns due to our low density of potential clients. At this point, the future was not looking friendly. However, in late 2020, new government funding became available to build infrastructure for Canadians that were identified as underserved. Our tentative relationship with Connected Coast, the Connected Coast Partnership, solidified. Armed with our digital roadmap and implementation, our committee, the Strathcona Regional District, CityWest, and our regional director, Daniel Arbour, interested the CVRD in funding $142,000 to pay for landing sites, which are the lines that connected from that trunk fiber optics subsea cable and brought it onto the shores of Hornby and Denman in landing sites just south of the ferry terminals at Gravelly Bay and Shinglespit. The CVRD continues to be the official government body that represents our islands. By February of 2021, the Strathcona Regional District and CityWest had accepted Hornby and Denman into the whole Connected Coast project. And CityWest, as our eligible internet service provider, was positioned to apply for government funding to bring our island last mile fiber distribution to our island homes. The application for provincial funding was submitted, and much back and forth and lobbying ensued, and hence the thanks to our MLAs and other government officials. The news of the successful application was made on August 5th by MLA Josie Osborne when she came to Hornby and invited community leaders and people that supported the project to a press conference. And this picture shows the gathering at Home Support when this $5.64 million provincial funding was announced. This represented 70% of the cost of the $7.6 million project. The next 20% of the money that we need is an investment by CityWest. The remaining 10% is up to our communities to fund. The CVRD proposes for us to provide this 10% through a broadband service for Hornby and Denman Islands, if our communities agree through a referendum process, which we'll talk about today. So what does this mean? After 5 years of work on this file, we are so close. Our homes could receive dedicated fiber that delivers internet speeds of 1,000 megabits per second and the highest speeds available in the industry today, far in excess of the federal target of 50 down and 10 up. When the referendum passes, our communities will be positioned to cross the digital divide with a vengeance. Peter will take it from here.
Thank you, Karen, excuse me, for outlining how we got to where we are today. I'm here to contribute some thoughts about the importance of the coming referendum and of voting yes. The yes vote's really important for each one of us because it's going to allow us to have this high-speed fiber optic communications, and those are going to be brought to us by CityWest. The services that CityWest will provide us are superior. Their internet is the speeds that customers want, up to 1,000 Mbps. There's no slowdowns because of other users on the line or weather. It's buried fiber optic cable, which is protected from falling branches. It's not subject to EMF issues. The television that they're offering is up to 300 channels. The telephone that they're bringing is solid landline telephone with battery backup in the event of power outages. You can retain your current phone numbers, and the rates, the long distance rates, are terrific. The CityWest services are going to cost a lot less than what we're paying today. And I really want to illustrate this by just describing what this would mean to my household. So right now, we're paying $43 a month for a landline with minimal long distance. We're paying $95 for a patchy internet service from a TELUS Smart Hub, and $96 a month for a basic television package from Shaw Direct. That's a total of $234 a month. CityWest provides a bundle that far exceeds the service in each one of these categories for $95.46 a month. So subscribing to CityWest for that bundle would save us $138 a month. That's $1,656 a year. I estimate that the impact on our taxes will be less than $80 a year. So that means that our net annual costs are going to be reduced by nearly $1,600. Now, that's pretty darn significant. And you can calculate the same sort of thing in your own household by going to the CityWest website, www.citywest.com, and you can see their prices there. Or if you want to go to our website, Hornby Denman Internet.com, we've got the price on there as well. A yes vote's also going to bring important benefits to our households and our families. Better internet means better educational opportunities, access to online courses, better ability to interact with instructors and fellow students through streaming, improved ability to do research. Healthcare is moving online these days, and we've got to be ready to move with it, to do virtual appointments with doctors and healthcare providers, to allow for online medical equipment and monitoring devices. With better internet, our businesses can be done better, where we're going to be able to work virtually. We're going to be better able to sell our products online, to shop online. Government and commercial services are shifting to internet delivery, and we've got to be able to access them. Home appliances and control systems are being connected to the internet, what they call the Internet of Things, and we want to be able to use these capabilities. We also want to improve our ability to connect with our family and our friends. I want to be able to read my books online with my grandchildren more easily. Better internet will improve our access to entertainment, to Netflix, to gaming. And our communities need us to vote yes. Better internet will have some safety benefits. For example, the fire departments these days mainly do online training. We'd be able to use more robust home security systems. Wider access to internet will help our organizations, our committees and clubs and recreational groupings, because they can do more efficient meetings. It'll help our arts community, help our artists and craftspeople to market their work, to help our musicians to practice together, to find audiences, to just jam. It'll allow people to work and study and recreate here just as they do in cities, and that will benefit our entire community. Having better internet in our community means we can accomplish more from home, and that means that we'll travel less, and that means that we won't be emitting as much CO2 pollution to damage the environment. And our community needs all of us to vote yes, even people who think that they won't be using the improved services. Let me explain why this is. The yes vote will allow CVRD to become involved in broadband service, and they'll borrow about $770,000 to let this project go ahead. This 10-year loan will be repaid by a small increase in annual property taxes on all of our properties, about $40 for every $500,000 in assessment. But these taxes do something else. CityWest has agreed that it will pay to CVRD 20% of its annual net operating revenue from our islands. CVRD will use that income to create a new grant program exclusively for our islands. So your yes vote and your taxes will be funding a new income stream for our community. Most importantly, we must vote yes because we now have the opportunity of a lifetime. Right now, we've got a chance to succeed, to actually get high quality, high speed, reasonable cost internet service for our island. This chance of success is what's important. It's the opportunity of a lifetime. Denman and Hornby are special places. They have unique qualities that have attracted people from many parts of the world. We need to keep our places special. High-speed internet will be one of the qualities that now and in the future will continue to make our islands special places. This is important. We have the opportunity to do something really useful for our islands at the referendum on November the 27th. We must go and vote, and we must vote yes. Thank you for your attention. And next, Jake Martens, CVRD's General Manager of Corporate Services, will speak with us about the referendum.
Thank you for that, Peter, for the introduction. And good evening, everyone. So as you've heard, to assist with bringing high-speed internet access to Denman and Hornby Islands, the Comox Valley Regional District Board is proposing to provide a financial contribution to build the last-mile infrastructure necessary to connect homes and businesses. The key aspects of this initiative for the CVRD include establishing an eligible service to raise appropriate funds, entering into a capital contribution agreement with CityWest, and borrowing up to 10% of the community contribution amount for the internet infrastructure. With the total project costs estimated at $7.6 million, the CVRD's contribution is projected to be up to $760,000. With the 1% Municipal Finance Authority debt issue expense, this provides a total borrowing of $767,677. And as Peter explained, annual debt servicing for this amount equates to a tax of about $40 per household for a property assessed at $500,000. This tax would be in place for 10 years until the debt is retired. Along with other legislative requirements, approval by the electors is required for the regional district to establish the service, enter into the capital contribution agreement, and to borrow the necessary funds. The board has directed that such approval be sought by way of a referendum, and eligible electors will have the opportunity to vote in the referendum on a single question on the ballot that addresses each of these three aspects. The question has been determined, so if you're curious to know the exact wording of it, you can certainly go to our website and review it there. Referendums are administered like an election, and local government election rules and legislation generally applies. In order to be eligible to vote, you must qualify as either a resident or a non-resident property elector. A resident elector must be 18 years of age or older on general voting day, be a Canadian citizen, be a resident of BC for at least 6 months before they register to vote, have lived on Denman and Hornby Island, which is the service area, for at least 30 days before they register to vote, and not be disqualified under the Local Government Act or any other enactment or by law from voting in a local election. If a person lives off the islands but owns property on either Denman and Hornby, they may qualify as a non-resident property elector and may vote once as long as they meet the voter eligibility requirements. If the property is owned by more than one individual, only one person is eligible to vote as the non-resident property elector for that property. The owner entitled to vote must be designated in writing by the majority of the property owners. These and other eligibility requirements are detailed on our website at comoxvalley.rd.ca/islandsinternet. In light of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, electors may choose to vote by mail. Mail ballot packages can be requested now by filling out an online form or by contacting the CVRD's Legislative Services Department at via email elections@comoxvalleyrd.ca or by calling us at 250-334-6000. An Ascent Vote Safety Plan has been created to ensure all health and safety protocols are followed. In-person voting will require all voters and polling staff to wear masks, maintain social distancing, and ensure everyone is following proper hygiene etiquette and limiting contact. Please note that proof of vaccination, though, is not required to vote in person. Eligible electors can vote during any of the following opportunities. There's advance voting on November the 17th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the CVRD office in Courtenay on Harmston Avenue. There's also special voting on November the 24th on Denman Island at the Senior Center from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and on Hornby Island on that same day, November 24th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And then general voting, as it's been noted, on November the 27th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Denman Island Senior Center or on Hornby Island at the New Horizons Seniors Hall. Preliminary results of the referendum will be communicated publicly following the close of the polls once counting has been completed. Approval by the electors is deemed to have been received only if a majority of votes are in favor of the question. It's important to note there is no minimum threshold for voter turnout. If a majority of votes are against, the bylaws may not proceed. The CVRD Board of Directors will review the results and consider any next steps at their December 7th meeting. If elector approval is obtained, the bylaws will be considered for adoption and the service will be included in the 2022 to 2026 financial plan, with funding being provided to CityWest for the installation of the infrastructure in the summer of 2022. As we lead up to the referendum, assent voting notices will be advertised within the local and regional newspapers. As well, we will be doing an unaddressed mail drop in November to encourage voter participation. Thank you for this opportunity to provide the details on the referendum. At this point, I will pass it over to Chris Armstrong with CityWest to provide a bit more details on their products and services.
And I'm on mute. Hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much, Jake. It's great to be here. Hello to everyone out there. I guess there's over 100 participants. That's great. Thanks for having me on the call. I'd like to have a few more thank yous here. I'd like to thank the Comox Valley Regional District for arranging this. And I'd like to thank the Denman and Hornby Island Internet Committees, both of them, for their hospitality over the last few days and for their efforts over the last few years. As James mentioned, I brought along a few friends on this call. I'd like to introduce them now. We have Bart Kuntz. He's the Vice President of the Outside Plant. Would you mind giving, there we go. We have Tina Lucier. She is the Vice President of Customer Service. And we also have Eric Giel. Sorry, Eric. He is one of our, he's the Operations Manager for WCI Corp, which is one of our civil construction contractors. So today I'll be giving you a very high-level view of what we like to do on Denman and Hornby Islands. First, I'd like to give you a bit of history of CityWest. The company was founded in 1910 in Prince Rupert. Back then it wasn't called CityWest, and it was founded because the newly created town wanted telephone services, but the main carrier of the day didn't want to go all the way up there. So the townspeople took it upon themselves to build the telephone network. A few years later, they sold the company to the municipality, which ran it as a telephone utility for almost 100 years. In 2005, the municipality rolled the utility out into a separate company and called it CityWest. The company has one shareholder, the City of Prince Rupert. It appoints a board of directors to set the governance and strategic direction of the company, but the city itself doesn't involve itself in the strategy or the day-to-day operations of the company. Now that said, the board, as well as the Mayor and Council, are well aware of our expansion activities, and they are also fully supportive of what we're trying to do to bring better services to underserved areas around the province. Since 2005, we've expanded our service footprint across northern BC, and over the last year, we've made the move to expand southward to places like Cortes Island and Denman and Hornby Islands. If you've kept an eye on our news page on our website, you'll also notice that we're expanding onto Haida Gwaii as well, and also Fraser Lake and Vanderhoof. These are very exciting times for our company. We are guided by our vision to provide the best customer experience in everything we do. And in our industry, the best customer experience is delivered through fiber to the home technology. It is simply the best way to deliver super fast internet that is reliable and resilient. And our internet you can get without any limits on your monthly data. It also gives us the ability to provide great TV and landline telephone services to our customers. So how will we be bringing these services to Denman and Hornby Islands? Well, I'm very glad you asked. Jennifer, Ingrid, thank you. So for those of you who can see this, this is a very high level illustration of the infrastructure we need to build to provide you with internet. And for those of you on the phone, I'll try and describe it as best I can. So what we're looking at is basically an illustration of Anytown, Canada. So basically the bandwidth will come through the Connect to Coast project. In the industry, we call this backbone or backhaul. And on the illustration in front of you, you'll see that at the very bottom of your screen around where the fishes are. There's a lot of data that streams through that pipe. From there, it goes ashore to a cabinet. And then from there, it's distributed to the neighborhood in fiber lines running underground along the roadway. Finally, the fiber goes underground from the street to your house. In industry jargon, this last part is known as a drop or last mile services. So you'll see on the illustration that we do have the underground section illustrated, but in Canada, most drops come aerially or via a hydro or telephone pole from the street, which is also noted in the illustration. And that would get to your house through the roof line. For our proposed project, we will be doing underground drops to your house. We've actually produced a video showing how this underground process unfolds. And I'd like to show you on the call, but I've had bad luck with videos in the past on other Zoom and Teams calls. So I'm just going to put it in the, and there's the link right there. Thank you, Jennifer. So it's in the video chat. So feel free to watch it at your leisure. It's only 5 minutes long. It's a great little video. But what I will say about the underground process is this. We've had a few questions about how it disturbs your lawn and how far we can go to houses that are a long way from the road. For the first question, we will do everything we can to ensure there is as little impact on your property as possible. We use directional drills, which can actually zigzag underground through your lawn. And we put everything back once we're done. For the second question, we'll find a way to make it work. Our intention is to get fiber to each dwelling on the island, however we can. We know that in some cases, it will mean doing a bit of extra work to get it to a house, but we'd like to work with the property owner to make that happen. Now, the next step after the drops are hooked up would be to hook up the network to the Connect to Coast project. Once that is connected, bandwidth will flow through the fiber optic cables, and you'll have access to great internet, TV, and phone services. Since it's a fiber to the home network, you'll have access to very fast speeds, up to 1,000 megabits per second, which has been mentioned a few times on this call. That's a download speed, and our upload speeds are very fast too. You'll also benefit from the reliability and resilience of fiber optic technology. If you visit our website, you can see that we've also priced our products competitively to ensure that you're paying reasonable prices for your services. Most importantly, you'll benefit from amazing customer service. We've got great technicians and customer service representatives who work right here in BC. And they strive to provide great customer experiences every single day. I'm guessing the question on everyone's mind right now is when. I truly wish I could give you the answer, but due to the nature of the construction process, I simply can't give you any timelines at this time. However, I can say that in the current phase, we are encouraging everyone to fill out the form on our dropping in page. That link is www.citywest.ca/dropping-in. And I believe that'll be going up in the chat too. Getting a drop to your home during the construction phase is absolutely free, and there's no obligation to get CityWest services if you sign up for a drop. We've had some great response to our campaign already. So far, over 700 people have filled in that dropping in form online. So thank you. Although I can't give you timelines, I can give you a general idea of how things will progress after the referendum, should it be successful. First, we'll seek out the necessary permits to get the work done. We'll also send some of our people to the islands to map out a design of our infrastructure. Then the construction crew will arrive using the design maps we've created to bring you underground drops to your home. While all this is going on, we'll be working on bringing the connected coast to Denman and Hornby Islands. And then we'll fire everything up. Once everything going, as part of the partnership we have with Comox Valley Regional District, we will be investing 20% of net profits that we take in from Denman and Hornby Islands back to the regional district. So put another way, you will be part owners of your very own localized ISP. Throughout the process, we will be providing updates on the project through email and communicating through various media on the island. You can also reach out directly to us by emailing marketing@cwct.ca. Now, that's a very high-level view of what we like to do on Denman and Hornby Islands, and we're very excited for this opportunity to bring you fiber optic services. And speaking of fiber optic services, we have a little bit of a surprise. We've got a show and tell session with our very own Eric Giel. Sorry, Eric. Eric, would you like to take it away?
Thanks, Chris. And good evening, everyone. Thanks very much for taking the time to learn about our project. I am Eric Giel, and I am the operations manager of West Connect Infrastructure, the construction division of CityWest. And I have the pleasure of speaking to you tonight from tiny Bamfield on the west coast of the island over our new fiber optic connection. I hope you can see and hear us all right. Before I begin with show and tell, I'd like to acknowledge the hard work of all panelists. Without their tireless efforts, we could not be where we are tonight. A little bit about how we're going to get the fiber to your house and the magic, how it happens. I'm hoping that the camera is going to pick this up, but these are what's called conduits, and inside you'll see a fiber optic cable. This particular fiber optic cable, which looks no bigger than a coaxial cable, holds 144 individual fibers. You can see there are two conduits, 288. We can hook up a lot of homes in a short amount of time with an amazing experience. We basically blow the fiber optic cable through the ducts. We've got several different sizes and gauges. This one's a 48 fiber cable, and they all fit in and they ride basically on a cushion of air up to 1 kilometer or so. This is what the home tubes look like. Let that focus in. You'll see there's 12 individual colors, 12 individual tubes. Each one will be proportioned to a home, and you'll be ready to go. This is what we call the 12 spaghetti fiber. It's got 12 individual fibers in there, and it's really quite thin. And last but not least is the home drop fiber, which has disappeared. It's really small. It's that small it disappeared. So but I hope you have learned a little bit about what the fibers look like and how we're going to be bringing it to the home. I would encourage you to learn more, to check out that video. And thanks very much, everyone. And over to Jennifer for Q&A.
Thank you, everyone, for the great presentations. I'm sure the details presented have sparked some very interesting questions. If you're online, you can now enter a question into the Q&A found at the bottom of the Zoom window, or submit a thumbs up to a similar question already posted that you support. As a reminder, we're recording this virtual session, so if you do ask a question in the Q&A, please tick the box to make yourself anonymous. Otherwise, your Zoom name will be identified. If you're calling in today, which I know we do have a few callers, we'll be asking questions of you once we've done the online portion. I will unmute you, and for callers, once I unmute you, you'll receive a prompt to say to press *6 to unmute your phone in order to speak. So just remember that if you want to speak, Once I've unmuted you, you have to press *6. To ask your questions, just say, I have a question, and go ahead and ask right away to the group that's here. For privacy, please do not identify yourself by your name when you speak. Finally, please keep questions respectful and be respectful of others' opinions and questions that they might have. As we have a large group here today, we're going to do our best to move through the questions fairly quickly, as we want to ensure that we can get through as much as possible in a shorter period of time. For any questions that are not answered, we will be posting the Q&As on the website along with the videos for both the sessions. So you can go to www.comoxvalleyrd.ca/islands internet to be able to both watch these sessions and also review the recaps. Okay, so let's check out the questions that have come through online. Okay, so the first question: how far on properties will CityWest go for internet access on individual lots? Our house site is about 350 meters straight distance away from Pinecrest Road, for context. And I am going to pass this over to Chris Armstrong.
Well, the answer really is we're going to try and do our best to get to every single house, because that's really what this project's all about, right? So we do want to work with the homeowners to make this work. And we encourage you to sign up for the drop on our dropping in page. That is absolutely free, just to sign up for the drop.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, and next question. Many households on Hornby are seasonally occupied. Will you offer a package that can be activated and billed for only 6 months of each year? Chris, I'll send that to you and your team.
Yes, we have a vacation suspend, package. Tina, would you like to speak to that?
Sure, Chris. Yes, we have vacation rates, and a resident can go on vacation for up to 6 months in 1 calendar year.
Great, thank you. Chris, another question for you. How many buildings can be hooked up? If I have 3 separate structures and they're isolated from each other.
Well, I think I know the answer to this one, but I'll send it over to Bart just to be sure.
We absolutely can. So what would happen if you do own those 3 different properties? What would happen is the original home base property would have the original fiber feed from your property line. We would hook that up, and from that there is options to have boosters, and we can either hardwire those boosters to other properties on the other housing on that property, and we'd be able to hook that up. So you'd be able to have the internet at all those locations, especially if it's inside 300 feet from those locations. If it's from 100 meters from the home base, you'll definitely be able to get the connectivity at the highest level that you get it in the main home, and you'd be able to extend your Wi-Fi and your solid connectivity through your internet.
Thank you, Bart. With the proposed tax increase, is the CVRD and CityWest going to guarantee that all the residents' lots on Denman will have access to CityWest internet service? Over to you, Director Arbour.
Thanks. I mean, the application to the federal government, to the province, sorry, was very much to connect every home. And so that is the principle that this partnership is operating under. I'll pass it over to Chris for more words on that.
Yeah, I actually don't have anything to add, Director. I think you summarized it perfectly. We want to make sure you get good internet.
Thank you. Will CityWest ensure service to all households? If not, how can we support such a large public investment when some households could be excluded? Chris.
Well, again, our intent is to get to every dwelling on the island. But if we're asking about how you can support this project, I would for sure vote. Well, it's totally up to you how you want to vote, but I think you know which way you should vote in the referendum if you like it. I would talk to your wonderful internet committee members, represented today by Karen and Peter, but as you know, there are more members on that committee, and just let them know that you're willing to help out in any way you can. And I'm sure they'd find a way to put you to work, unless you want to correct me there, Karen and Peter. But yeah, if you'd like to support it, there are many ways to do that for sure.
Great, thank you. All right, another question. With the proposed tax, will all Denman Island Pinecrest Roads addresses get CityWest internet? We are in a remote area and do not have TELUS lines and have to drive 5 kilometers to drop off garbage. So it's typically not served. Over to you, Chris.
5 kilometers to drop off garbage. Holy smokes. Okay. I would suggest these property owners could certainly reach out to us directly. And again, we want to work with you. I'll sound like a broken record here, but our intent is to get to every address on the islands.
Great, thank you. Okay, if the referendum does not get passed, will CityWest still be connecting all areas of Denman Island, including remote areas like Pinecrest Road?
Well, I don't know if we can answer that question right now. I mean, we hope the referendum, well, we're staying neutral as far as the referendum goes. But I think as part of the referendum, keep in mind that there is the profit sharing agreement aspect to it as well. So if the referendum goes through and the policy is approved, or the bylaw is approved, you will be part owner in your own ISP. So 20% of net profits will be reinvested back to the regional district.
And Jennifer, I can maybe add to that too. If the referendum does not pass, then the CVRD will not be establishing a service, nor will the CVRD be borrowing the 10% in funding that would need to be provided to CityWest to see this last mile infrastructure installed.
Great, thank you, James. Thank you, Chris. Will this project generate any local jobs on the islands? Over to Chris and his team.
Well, I would like it to, for sure. I guess I'd like to let Bart speak to this one, if that's okay, Bart.
Yeah, currently we've got a lot of other fiber networks in our northern regions right now. So we do have a pretty good idea on what it takes to, say, if we had 1,000 customers, right? So let's say we had 500 on Denman and 500 on Hornby, and they joined services to be a part of the internet that we're providing in the 3 services. That would definitely have a body that would be in that vicinity, right? So my goal is that's the outside plant, and I do take care of all the technicians in our local agreement we have right now. And I would really intend on having someone local to be able to get to those recovery times as quick as possible when it comes to any type of outages, phones not working, internet, TV, to be able to cover that quick response that we have everywhere else in the province currently. So I would like to have that for sure, and definitely am doing that research right now.
Right, thank you. First off, thanks to all the people who have contributed to getting us to this point. And the question is, if approved by voters, what is the timeline for the operational system on Denman and Hornby? So I'll go to Chris and his team and Bart.
I might be able to take this one. We talked about it sort of on the last time, and it's even been a day or so. So those kind of timelines can't be locked in, but I'm really hopeful that, within this calendar year of 2021, we can start getting a couple of our initial islands that we would like approved. And then that will get every other island slotted into play. So once that happens, when it comes to the construction timelines, we're looking at about 6 months we would be on the civil portion of it. So if we were on a Denman or a Hornby, it would take about 6 months to do that. And that's because our crews sort of come in 20 days and 10 out. So when it goes over that whole timeline, and then it takes about another 6 weeks to 8 weeks to splice all the fiber and be able to test it and make sure that every home that is being served that has said yes to the drop, they will be all tied in and they will be hot. So at that point, picture that at that 8-month mark, that every home is actively ready, and we call it fiber ready. And then at that point, you would have a phone call to our local CSRs that are in the province, and you'd be talking to one of them, and then you'd be setting up an appointment, depending on how many installers we have on the island or how many we're dedicating to those islands. At that point, you would get on a list, and then we'd have an install date. And when that install date happens, install can be from anywhere. The homeowner would have to be home from 2 to 4 hours, and we have an AM and a PM appointment, and then you would get service. So a goal would be from the day that our crews hit the ground, it would be in that 9-month range. I would like to have a test customer and things be moving.
Great, thank you. Chris and his team, we have a few questions that are going to be one after each other that'll come. Where is the technical support located? Is it Canada or abroad? That's the first one.
Canada, BC, Prince Rupert. Terrace.
Fantastic. Are the prices quoted for packages introductory and customers will face significant increases over the years?
The prices you see on our website are the prices. We don't, I mean, every now and then we would have a promotion, and usually when we welcome a new customer into the flock, we do have a promotion for that. But the prices you see on our website are our regular prices, and they are our current prices. We make every effort to stay competitive with our competitors as far as pricing goes. So, and we do have to run a business, as everyone knows, prices continue to rise. So I don't want to say the prices today will remain this way forever, because that's just not simply the case in any business. But we make every effort to ensure our prices are as reasonable as possible for our customers.
Great. Regarding after installation service, will there be technicians living on Hornby Denman, or will they be serviced out of Comox or elsewhere?
Logistically, like I was talking about earlier, it would be ideal to have one over in that area. So yeah, for sure, we definitely have a few more options when it comes out of our hub, where we may have the bulk of the technicians, but we would definitely like to be able to service on the homes passed and how many are actually actively serviced. That usually gives me the ratio on how many technicians you'll need in your communities.
Great. And this is a question for Jake or James. If not all the residents agree, would the annual tax of $40 be higher to compensate for the shortfall of the participants?
Thanks, Jen. So yeah, the result is going to be determined if a majority of votes are counted in favor. And so either this service is going to be created if that's the case, or it's not going to be created if it is rejected through the referendum. So there is no higher taxation amount that may occur if some disagree or that matters. So yeah, it's either established or not.
Okay. We have a question here about, will all residents on Denman be able to be connected to the service? It's already been answered multiple times that the intent is for all homeowners on both Hornby and Denman Island to receive this internet. So I'm going to mark that one as done. Do nonprofit organizations who own property get to vote? Jake, over to you.
The short answer is no. So corporations and other similar entities are not eligible to vote.
Thank you. Another question for you, Jake. It's your time.
Okay.
What is special voting on November 24th?
For all intents and purposes, special voting is advance voting. It's an opportunity to vote before general voting day. There's some legalities around that, but again, it's an advance voting opportunity before general voting day.
Great. Okay, Chris and your team, does anyone know how long the phone will work during a power outage? We had this one a few times yesterday.
Yes, we did. Yeah, so your individual phone at your dwelling, we will be installing a battery pack as well. And when an outage occurs, it lasts for between 8 to 12 hours, and that's standby time. So obviously, if you're using the phone during that outage period, it'll shrink down depending how long you use the phone. Bart, would you like to speak to the power at the cabinet?
Yeah, so we have a couple of options. They're called ODC. So that's where when the submarine cable comes to the landing, it'll come up, and we'll obviously have hydro feeding that cabinet that's going to supply your internet and all your 3 services. And we have a battery backup plan in there. And usually if we go with a single deck or a double deck, and we are looking at that currently right now, but it's looking like we're going towards the double deck of batteries that will last up to 48 hours. So that outage of all your equipment will be up for 48 hours. The second thing is someone like Eric, he'll be living down in this area and be part of the operations down here. He'll have either the technician, local technician, or someone within that vicinity that then will come and we will have a generator, which then will, once we hook the generator up to it, it will be keep putting the gas in it until your power comes back on. So we really feel like there's we're going to have that angle covered as best as possible inside, or to feed the internet and all three services and keep that up and running, and then also keep your battery backup in your home up to 8 to 12 hours.
How does the service compare to satellite connectivity, which will likely be available sooner than the CityWest fiber optic? Chris.
Well, I mentioned in my speech that in my mind, and I think in all our minds, that the best technology that's out there is fiber to the home technology. It's more resilient. It allows for faster speeds. It's future proof. It's not going to change anytime soon. It's resistant. I don't even think there is really any wear and tear on it. And the way that we install it, we make every effort to ensure that whatever happens, like it's going underground, so it's kind of immune to trees falling on the lines, because the tree, if it falls on the line, then, well, sorry, it won't fall in line because it's underground, right? So, I mean, I would say it's vastly superior to satellite technology. But that's my opinion.
And I'll just add to that a little bit on that. Really, when it comes to the fiber optics network, it is life-proof. There's no other way around it. It is life-proof to any technology that is going to keep expanding. We were just reading an article today, I would have said it in the last Zoom call, that every year has doubled the last 5 years in your internet. So if you were in your home and you needed 50 down, the next year you needed 100, the next year you needed 150. The latest one that just came out, because it has been doubling the last 5 years, we just looked it up today, 38% a year is what you're going to need on your bandwidth again. There is no way that a satellite connection is ever keeping up with that. Direct connectivity to your home, to your computer, to your lifeline, there is nothing. It is so superior over satellite, and especially for the life of your communications that you will need forever.
I could just speak to that as well, Bart. The benefit of fiber optic is we're able to put the triple play on there. We're able to provide television, we're able to provide internet, and we're able to provide plain old telephone service. The Starlink and the satellite is focused strictly on internet. And as we know, the signal degrades a little bit, and not every day here in BC is sunny. So.
Great. I'm going to type in an answer to this question, letting them know about the video again, Chris, but this question, I guess maybe you can expand a little bit regarding the drop to the house. So you can provide details of how they go underground and how deep, and how do you avoid that irrigation lines and water lines?
Yeah, I can talk to that. Eric could also talk to it. I think he talked to it last time. One of the things we didn't mention in the last Zoom meeting, which I'll add to that, the homeowner, when we do get on the homeowner, my understanding is you have wells. So you have different areas where you're going to have some conduit and some piping that we would definitely want to work with. So our contractors, WCI with Eric, he would be on site. Once he gets to the property line, which that's always like an area of demarc, right? So we come up to the property line with our connection, and then we got to talk to that homeowner going in. In bigger communities that have BC1 calls, that's how we do it. And Eric also has a great detection, right? So we have the highest technology of any kind of detecting of power lines, if there was power lines between buildings, if there's water lines and stuff like that. But we will really want that assistance of the homeowner. They've obviously lived on the home. More than likely, they have the background of where stuff is, and it will help. But we have every technology. There's different ways to do it. We either can drill, which is underground and we're drilling. We have a chain trencher where we're just going down anywhere from 8 to 10 inches once we get on your property. Lots of different methods. And basically the experts that we have every tool in the toolkit to make that as safe as possible. But we're never going to say that it's 100% that, any type of underground civil work does not sometimes impair something, but that we will do our best to do that with WCI and CityWest.
Great. So it is coming on 6 o'clock, and I know that the session was to go to 6 o'clock. We have 19 more questions in the Q&A and still online questions. So we're going to continue to move forward and allot another 15 minutes towards questions. Any questions that are not answered, as mentioned, we will post the answers on our website, and we'll give that information at the end of the session. So I'm going to continue to move along. So my house is on Hornby. It's located near Halliwell Park. The TELUS Internet Corporation I had initially, and on which eventually gave up, regularly failed and was very slow and worked intermittently. I was told this is because my house is located too far from the cable coaxial, which comes near Shingle Spit, so the signal deteriorates too much before reaching me. From your diagrams, it appears that the fiber optic cable will be coming to the Hornby near Shingle Spit. Am I going to be too far from that connection again with a similar deteriorated signal and unreliable service? Chris, you and your team.
Yeah, and I can step in on that one. With our fiber optic service, whatever when we put our modem, which is a modem plus a Wi-Fi wireless unit combined, that unit that has that, if you plug into that unit with your laptop, if you subscribe for $250 down, $50 up from us, you will get $250 down, $50 up from us. No, there's not one connection that will happen in our network that you will not get that. If you are not getting that, I can't even figure out why you wouldn't be getting it, but we will take care of it. There is nothing, your connection that you're paying for, you will have full speed for that. Down and up.
All right, Jake, over to you. Is it possible that borrowing can be more than $776,000?
No, so the borrowing amount is set in the borrowing bylaw. That is before the electors for consideration of approval. And if it is approved by the electors, then the board would consider approval of that, and it specifies that amount. So no, there's not an ability to increase that amount the next day or the week or anything like that.
And stay right there, Jake. I got another question for you. So you don't have to be a property owner to vote. Property owners pay, but anyone can vote. Is this correct? Is this normal?
Yeah, so both residents and non-resident property electors are eligible, and resident electors can be property owners or they can be renters. There's no distinction there. So yeah, that is normal, and it's the case across the province with respect to all regional districts and municipalities. Those rules are set by the province.
Thank you. Chris, this one's going to be for you and your team. I signed up on the website, but did not answer yes to the question about giving permission to put fiber to your house. I want to talk to the construction people first. Is this a problem?
No, I don't think it's a problem. We can put you in contact with construction people if you'd like. Just email us. Eric's waving and so is Bart. So I will say though, if you didn't click that box, I don't think your application would have gone through. So yeah, one way or another, maybe contact us.
And we'll be putting up contact details at the end, so you'll be able to get Chris's information.
Yeah, and I just think on that piece, absolutely, because we'd love you to tick the box, and myself or Eric can answer all those questions, anything that you were exactly looking for to make more comfort for that to tick the box, for sure.
Hey, Jake, what is the interest rate on the loan? Or James?
I can try that one, Jen. Thanks. So the CVRD will borrow its money through the Municipal Finance Authority. It's an organization that is established for local government borrowing, and it enjoys the benefit of a AAA rating, which is second to none when it comes to borrowing rates. The current posted rate for a 10-year borrowing is 2.24%, and of course that does fluctuate with the markets, and it would depend on when we can lock into that long-term borrowing.
Great. Jake or James, how many yes votes are required to proceed?
So it's a majority of the votes that are required. So there's not a threshold. There's again, it's the number of votes that are received by eligible electors, and a majority is required for this to pass. So there's no set number that is required.
Okay. It sounds like CityWest will be giving back some profits. Could we not just pay less in the first place?
I can take this.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I've heard that question a couple of times, and basically the answer is the money that we're contributing now is for the capital costs, is to basically put in all the infrastructure at once. The money that's going to come back, even past, it's going to take us 10 years to repay, but we're going to have this infrastructure hopefully for the next 50 to 80 years and get that 20% back. And that money, there's not a lot of service providers that agree to that to give back to the communities. And that's thanks to the effort of Karen Ross and others and the openness of CityWest to make it happen. So I would, hopefully that clarifies the question. So basically, no, we have to come up with the 770,000. And earlier there was a question, what happens if we don't pay that? It's also, the province as part of their grant is expecting the community to pay the 10%. I have seen projects fall apart when the community contribution does not realize. So we have to come up with that hard cash as a show of our participation and support for the project.
Thank you, Director Arbour. We have a question here. Is the only way to vote going to be in person? So Jake answered this earlier, and so I'm just going to reaffirm it that you can do in-person or mail ballot voting, and you can do your mail ballot voting. You can actually request it online or by calling our office here to request your package. And that one's done. What wire and equipment is needed in the home? I'm going to pass that over to probably Bart or Chris.
What's needed in the home? Well, I will let Bart speak, or Tina for that matter, talk about it, but we will actually provide all the equipment that you need to be able to get internet services. So you will get a little, once you have services, you'll get a little units. Well, I guess you can't really see how big that is, but it's about, I would say, 8 or 9 inches high. It kind of looks like a Alexa. It's basically that provides you both with wireless internet, or you can hardwire in with the 4 ports that are on it. It's called a GigaSpire. It also allows you to, if you sign up for our app, it'll give you a lot of protection from any virus or malware attacks that you might get, and it also allows you to control the internet in your home, the wireless network. So if you don't want your kids watching YouTube, you can take YouTube right off there. And I have taken advantage of that myself. So I really like that feature. Bart or Tina, is there anything to add there?
Just to give a little, when that fiber line hits the side of your house, there will need, if you were just getting internet only at that point, we'd take one single fiber line and actually continue the fiber line on from the connection on the outside box. And then we would take it down to the GigaSpire like he talked about. It's about the size of a milk jug. Just so if you thought of a 2-liter milk jug, that would be sort of the size of the unit. And inside that unit, for the techie people that are online, you will have the phone port in the back. Then you'll have 4 different Ethernet ports that you can take out to those extenders like I talked about. You have a very big home, then it's going to give you that Wi-Fi experience farther. Or you've got the capability of wiring it into a hub, which then you can have all your connections in your house also hardwired, right? But we will bring that. Part of CityWest's job is to bring that demarc there, and that's what we call it. So our GigaSpire will be in your thing, and then you have multiple options after that for your TV, for your phone, and all that to connect wiring in. So it will be up to the homeowner to request, and then the technician will be able to walk them through what is needed on the install day. And you may need some extra work to come back on depending what the needs and wants of the customer is.
And just to add to that a little bit, if you are, and hopefully you will get our TV services, so any TV that you have, you'd have to have a set-top box to each of those TVs as well.
Okay. All right, I'm going to pass this over to the CityWest team. This next one, can you provide assurances there'll be no environmental impact to trees and other features? And how do you handle encountering a rock?
Yes, I mean, I'll let Bart and Eric speak to this, but we will make every effort to ensure there's as little disruption as possible to the natural environment. And what you do when you meet a rock, I guess, Eric? Yes, Eric. You're pointing at Eric?
We drill through the center if it's too big. It's that simple. We've never met a rock we didn't like. We've got a wonderful directional drill, and it'll bore through just about anything: concrete, basalt, granite. It's really quite a powerful unit.
Really, when it comes to it, we do have, like, there's 4 or 5 different tools that we have to be able to maneuver through the environmental piece that was asked there when it comes to roots and what depth we need to go to avoid things. and to be able to go around things, right? So we have many options to do that. And when the pros are on the ground, they will take care of that.
Right, and what we're doing on Cortez, and Cortez is a very similar environment to Hornby. The roads are quite narrow, and anything sort of off the side of the road, off the shoulders, is trees. It's beautiful. It's a paradise, a special place, as Peter said. And our intent is to get it as close to the shoulder of the road, within about 300 millimeters, and about 600 millimeters down, 2 feet. So 1 foot off the shoulder, 2 feet down. And that seems to be the one spot where it doesn't affect any trees. It doesn't affect riparian areas. And that's a real sensitive thing for us. We don't want to disturb any of the native soil or natural splendor of your place. So thank you.
Okay. How can a non-resident property owner vote if I can't vote in person? Mail-in voting? Yes.
Mail-in
Yes.
voting is available.
Mail-in voting. Jake, also for you, how confident is the CVRD that absentee property owners will be aware of the referendum and will have sufficient time to vote by mail?
So yeah, 2 points with respect to that. A notice has gone out to all property owners with respect to this initiative and the referendum. So awareness should be there. And I think in this question, correct me if I'm wrong, Jen, but there was reference to maybe a property owner in Alberta that owns property. And so one of the eligibility requirements for non-resident property electors is that they must be a resident of BC. And again, that's a rule established by the province. And so in that case, the individual would not be eligible, but other individuals that may reside in BC that own property on Denman and Hornby would be subject to the other requirements.
Great. So along those lines, if I own a property on Denman and I live there, but I'm not a Canadian citizen, do I get to vote?
Canadian citizen is again a requirement. So if they're not a Canadian citizen, they're not eligible to vote.
Okay, so we have 8 more questions in the queue. I want to ask the panelists, are you wanting to get through these 8 questions and go to the calls, or would you like to stop the Q&A at this portion and then we answer them and put them online? I know many have other things that might have to go to do tonight, so a head nod or thumbs up.
Rapid fire, Jen.
Rapid fire. Okay, I'm going to continue on rapid fire. I already have an underground sleeve carrying electric, telephone, internet, and water. Can CityWest use this existing sleeve?
We will do whatever we can when it comes to that. I talked to one of the homeowners on Denman the other day at the coffee shop, and he had an existing conduit that was at the edge of his property and went all the way in there. Once it's anything that's on the customer premise that they own, we can utilize, will be thankful for us. We would love to utilize any type of conduit or raceway that we could get to your home. We can put our product through there and it'd be greatly appreciated.
Okay, this question has already been asked, but we'll just re-acknowledge it. If it doesn't pass, will there be an opportunity for people who voted yes to take more than the projected $40 to ensure the service is provided? And the answer was no, that will not happen. Okay, can nonprofit organizations that own a property vote and can get a line put in? Jake, so if it's a nonprofit that they own a property, can they vote?
No, but I think there is the opportunity there to have the connection made, but they don't have an opportunity to vote in the election.
Okay, Chris, what hardware is provided for inside the home? 1,000 megabytes per second is great, but what will I actually see on my devices?
What will you see on your device? Okay, so first is what equipment is needed in the home?
Yes.
Okay, so we got through that a little bit. There's
Yeah.
we do have some equipment, the Gigaspire, the enhancers, the set-top boxes, and also the battery pack for your phone. And what will you see on your devices? Well, we make every effort to make sure you get what you pay for. That said, the internet is a fickle thing, so there's many things that can affect the speeds. It could be the routing wherever in the world that it's going to. It could be a weird server somewhere in maybe Europe or Asia that's just a little bit slow. That could be dependent on the website that you're visiting. Did I miss anything, Tina or Bart? Many factors can impact wireless speeds.
Your devices too. The actual device you're using on the internet affects the speed.
Yeah, and just to give anybody, if they're that question was pretty broad when it came to that, but if it's coming to a hardline connection, like I said earlier, you will get the speeds you get. If you directly plug into our device, you will get the 100% speed level you get. When you have a Wi-Fi connection, if you have an updated iPhone, let's just say I'm lucky enough to have one and I have an iPhone 12 and I'm on 5G off our network. Currently at my home, I have 1,000. I'm very fortunate to be in a service area that has that with CityWest, and I'm getting 750 on my phone. Like, it's insane. Like, you are everywhere in my house. I'm into anywhere between downstairs in the basement, I'm at 250, and upstairs I'm 750. And that depends on your device. If you have the device and you're trying to use the other 2.4 or the 5G and it's monitoring between those, you will get very good signal in your square footage you have. And if you have a really big square footage or a house that has some obstacles, that's when our technicians will come in and be able to give you those enhancers, which will then give your experience much better.
Okay. We have multiple residents on an archaeological sensitive area where above ground will be the only way to access our houses. Will this be possible?
We would like to, at any point, stay in the underground system. If there is an obstacle like that, and that was our only route, our technicians for a living, the ones that we currently have in our system, they would do underground and aerial. The connection we're bringing to your home is inside a conduit already, inside when it's purchased. So we would have to look at some sort of method. If you had a pole line that went into your home, we could transition it at a location and then take it up aerially and then take it into your home. I would hope those are special requests, but anything can happen. And at the end of the day, CityWest has done a lot of different things to be able to get people service. So we will find a way to do that. And that's one of those ones, if you have it, an email to myself or Eric or whatever like that, the minute we have people on the ground, we can go do that site survey, we call it. And once the site survey is done, then we can sort of analyze that, put it into our system, and then our technical team that's coming will know what they're running into on that day and the product and what they'll need.
Okay, this is another question for you, Chris, and your team. Do you have a sense of the effect of this proposal on the existing TELUS service to these islands? If TELUS loses many of its customers, its rates here will go up, or will it abandon its service entirely?
Well, I don't think TELUS will go anywhere. It's really up to TELUS, but they do have what's called an obligation to serve, and that is a CRTC regulated tenant that they need to be, if they're serving you on the island today, they will have to continue serving you on the island. And actually, they're what's called a tariff. In their tariff, they actually have set rates that they need to charge you. So I guess I think what Peter mentioned, $43 a month for phone services, that's in their tariff. And if they want to increase that rate, they actually have to apply to the CRTC to increase it. So I think that answers the question. I don't know.
Yeah. Another question for CityWest. TELUS has technicians who visit us if we have a problem. Will CityWest have technicians based locally? If not, why is this not needed?
Yeah, I believe we've answered that question.
Yeah, it's okay. I can just quickly answer it again. We will analyze all the different islands and all the different areas that have been awarded, right? So once that's awarded and we have 500 homes passed, we will try to figure out the best scenario for us to give that superior customer service with 5,000 homes passed. And once we do that, there will be areas that we will take every effort to be able to facilitate technicians in the correct spots for the quickest reaction time to any trouble tickets.
And Director Arbour, I'm going to give you the last question. Did I hear correctly that the proposed tax levy will be removed after the loan is paid off in the maximum of 10 years?
That is correct. So to the homeowner, because it's a fixed amount of $770, it means $400 over the next 10 years for the average home owner. Then it drops to zero. But what will continue will be the 20% net profit for decades to come.
Thank you, Director Arbour. And there is one caller in today, and I've just put them as the ability of being able to speak. So if you do have a question, you just have to prompt and press *6 and ask your question to the group of panelists. If you don't have a question, you can just remain on mute and we will continue to move along. I'm going to assume this person does not have a question, so we will just continue on. As mentioned, we'll be posting the videos and any of the answers to the questions online. So I'm going to pass over to James Warren at this point.
Thanks, Jennifer, and thanks especially to you and Ingrid for helping us through on the technical side here and facilitating the session. Thanks again to Karen and to Peter for your leadership through the Hornby Denman Internet Committee, and to CityWest for being here today and helping answer all of these questions that we had. And especially to the public for joining us this evening on our call. If you have any other questions about the upcoming referendum on November 27th, please do contact us. Our information is available on the screen there, and you can call us. Really important that you encourage all of your friends and family and community members to learn more about this important initiative through our website, through the information that we provided, and to please come out and vote on November 27th. Thank you very much, and I wish you all a very good evening. Thanks.